Hello and welcome to another podcast episode with Roaming Norway. And today we are going to talk about something very interesting and something that people have talked about for a while now, because a lot of new cars have a lot of touchscreens and they have less buttons than before. And it's worse when you are driving and you can't feel all the buttons that you are pressing. In my opinion, it's a bad trend, and I think physical buttons are better. But something that's even worse than the removal of physical buttons is misinformation regarding this topic. There has been a lot of articles on this, and where they describe the stuff as dangerous and that you need to press the screen to do, essential functions for driving the car. And while that's true in some cases, in most cases it's not true. So, I'm going to talk about an article that was posted in the Times, and it has spread across all the internet, and it has been an anti-Tesla. It has been used for anti-Tesla articles, and that's fine because Tesla is actually doing a lot of things which with the human input in the cars, which I don't like. A lot of people don't like. Yeah, it's not a good thing to remove buttons, of course. But I want to talk about these articles because most of them are completely wrong. So let's read the quote from Euro NCAP, which is the crash test and safety organ from in the European Union. So a large safety crash test organ, and that's the interview in the Times that has been spread all across the globe. The overuse of touchscreens is an industry-wide problem, with almost every vehicle maker moving key controls onto the central touchscreen, obliging drivers to take their eyes off the road and raising the risk of distraction crashes. And this is true. Touchscreens take your eyes off the road the same way as a phone does, and you are not allowed to use your phone while you're driving in most parts of the world. So why should you be allowed to use the touchscreen? It's a distraction. I agree with this. And this is Matthew Avery, which is Director of Strategic Development at Euro NCAP, that said this to the Times. Then it's rephrased here in The Verge, which I'm reading from now. To be liable for the maximum safety rating after the new testing guidelines go into effect, cars will need to use buttons, dials, or stalks for hazard warning lights, indicators, windscreen wipers, SOS calls, and the horn. So it will need to use buttons, dials, or stalks for these items. So you have the options between buttons, dials, and stalks for hazard warning lights, indicators, windscreen wipers, SOS calls, and horn. Every Tesla ever made, including the new ones, have buttons, dials, or stalks for lights, indicators, windscreen wipers, SOS calls, and the horn. It is, even in the new Highland or the new Model S and X, you have buttons for the turn signal, and that is compliant with what Euro NCAP says here. So the cars are compliant from what they have said. And this is the quote that's going all around the globe in different news magazines and stuff. And it says that Tesla will fail the Euro NCAP test, or Tesla will get a lower score in the Euro NCAP test. This is false information from what I have read from this quote and from the spec sheet from Euro NCAP. So hazard warning lights, that's a button in Tesla, it's in the roof. Indicators are either on the stalk or the new Teslas now have buttons on the steering wheel, which is compliant with what Euro NCAP says there. Windscreen wipers are a button on the steering wheel or a stalk, but button on the steering wheel is the new version from Tesla. And you say, oh, but you need to adjust the speed. You have to do it on the screen. No, you don't have to do it on the screen. You can press the windshield wiper button once, and then you can control it with the button. And those that can't do this are the old ones, and they have a normal windshield wiper stalk. So you can control every setting on the windshield wiper, including activating them on a physical button. You don't need to go through the screen. SOS, that's also a button beside the hazard warning lights in the roof. And the horn is just pressing the center of the horn. Some SNX produced a small amount have a button for the horn, which sucks, of course, but it's still a button. So it's still compliant with what Euro NCAP says here. So I don't like to actually defend Tesla for everything, but this is what Euro NCAP has said about being compliant for the new 2026 Euro NCAP rules. And currently, from what I'm reading anywhere, in every article I read, they quote the exact same piece from the Times with the interview with Matthew Avery. So I'm just going to rephrase it once more. To be liable for the maximum safety rating after the new testing guidelines go into effect, cars will need to use buttons, dials or stalks for hazard warning lights, indicators, windscreen wipers, SOS calls and the horn. And Tesla already does that for all Teslas ever produced. And most other automakers also do this. So it's not just Tesla, but it's usually Tesla that gets the flack for this. The article from The Verge continues with some manufacturers like Tesla or Volkswagen have gained a reputation for placing basic vehicle controls behind touch-sensitive interfaces. There is no shortage of complaints about such features, but equipment manufacturers continue to push touchscreen interfaces because they are more cost-effective to produce than physical buttons and dials. That's correct, but it still doesn't change the law that they are compliant with everything from Euro NCAP. So I agree. The Volkswagen and Tesla both have touchscreen or touch button controls for the temperature control, for example. Actually, in Tesla, you can control it from the steering wheel with a physical button if you want. I have a video, a short video on that if you want to see it. But for most people that don't know about the button features with Tesla, you have to go through this screen for temperature controls. But that's also the case for many other vehicles, and it's not defined in the Euro NCAP specifications here that it needs to be physical buttons for the climate control. I personally like physical buttons, and I would like to see that, but it doesn't change the fact that Tesla is compliant with the Euro NCAP. The Euro NCAP's safety guidelines aren't a legal requirement. However, car makers take safety ratings pretty seriously, so any risk of points being docked during such assessments is likely to be taken into consideration. And that's very true. That's the most important thing for Tesla, is to get a high Euro NCAP score or equivalent in the United States. And they have now the Euro NCAP evaluation procedure, which will be the new evaluation procedure from 2026, is not finished. So this can change over time. I'm just talking about the current quotes from Euro NCAP. And I like that movement from Euro NCAP. It's awesome. It's just sad to see that so much misinformation regarding this is spread around, and that Tesla will fail the Euro NCAP and Tesla will get a lower score in the Euro NCAP. This is from 2026, so nothing happens before then. And even then, they are currently compliant with everything, everything the Euro NCAP has said. So just a quick podcast on these articles that have gone around with the Euro NCAP and touchscreen controls. Currently, they are compliant. I would like to see more physical buttons, and I like that Euro NCAP incorporates this into the specifications, but doesn't look like Tesla currently needs to change anything. And this is also true for any other vehicle manufacturer that also use a lot of touch screens for their controls. Thank you for watching this quick podcast on this topic. There are a lot to be said about these touchscreens in the new vehicles, and I don't like them. I'm just debunking a myth that has gone around. So I hope to see more buttons, or at least snappy, responsive, intuitive designs in vehicles moving forward. That's important. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next podcast episode.